At work, my colleague stole my efforts and was unjustly promoted. Now I've begun planning to counter this injustice in a smart and unexpected way. The story began about 2 months ago when our manager gathered us and announced that the company was about to launch a massive strategic project, one that could open doors to major promotions and bonuses. I was incredibly excited because this kind of project was my chance to prove myself. The work was divided among several employees, and I was assigned the largest portion of the planning and execution. I worked from early morning until late at night, reviewing statistics, searching for creative solutions, and writing detailed reports for every step. Even on weekends, I sat in front of my computer while my friends enjoyed their time. I kept telling myself, "Be patient. The result will be worth all this effort." My colleague, Kareem, was part of the team, but honestly, he contributed very little. Sometimes he'd disappear for hours. Other times, he'd send me his tasks to complete under the pretext of being busy with other things. At first, I didn't mind because I wanted the project to succeed more than anything. Then came the day of the presentation to the CEO and the board of directors. I was surprised when Kareem said, "Let me handle the presentation this time. I can deliver the idea better." I was exhausted and thought to myself, "Fine, what matters is getting the idea across. I'll claim my credit later." But what happened next was a real shock. Kareem started speaking as if he were the mastermind behind everything. He presented ideas I had spent sleepless nights refining as if they were his own, even small details. Only I knew about, he credited to himself. I sat there watching him, my heart pounding as if I were trapped in a nightmare. The presentation ended with applause from the audience, and the manager seemed thoroughly impressed. Days later, the email that changed everything arrived. "Congratulations, Kareem. You've been promoted to project manager." I stared at the screen in disbelief. He got the promotion, and me? Nothing. Everyone in the office congratulated him, and he smiled proudly as if he'd achieved something great. Meanwhile, I was boiling inside. At that moment, I realized silence wouldn't get me my due, but I also knew a direct confrontation wouldn't work because everyone now saw him as the hero. So, I decided to start a quiet plan, one that would reveal the truth to everyone without me having to raise my voice. I began observing him closely, studying his habits and waiting for the opportunity to turn the tables on him. Little did I know that opportunity was closer than I imagined. After calming my emotions a little, I sat at home that evening, thinking about my next move. I knew any direct confrontation with Kareem would make me seem jealous or resentful, especially since his image in the company was now flawless. So I had to be smarter. The first thing I did was go back to the archives of the previous project. I dug through old emails, files I'd sent to the manager, and every document bearing my name or signature. I was searching for any proof that the ideas and planning had been my work. After hours of searching, I compiled a hefty file containing dozens of emails, documents, and even some audio recordings from our online meetings. But having evidence wasn't enough. I had to choose the right time and place to reveal it, and make it seem like the truth had come to light by chance, not as if I were attacking him. Around that time, management announced a new, even larger project requiring collaboration between multiple teams, and Kareem was once again part of it. This time, I decided to handle things completely differently. I made sure every note and plan was sent via email with a direct copy to the CEO, not just the department head. In my emails, I explained in detail what I'd done, attaching designs and models under my name and signature. In meetings, I started speaking up more, clearly explaining my ideas in front of everyone and asking for their feedback. I noticed Kareem growing visibly uncomfortable, especially when he'd try to speak over me, only for me to cut him off with a calm smile and words like, "Let me finish my thought first." 2 weeks later, the unexpected happened. I received an email from the CEO himself, inviting me to a private meeting to discuss some of the ideas I'd submitted. Kareem wasn't included, and when he found out, I noticed clear tension in his demeanor. I began seeing the first cracks in his facade. His confident smiles faded, and he spent more time watching what I was doing. But I wasn't in a rush. I was waiting for the moment he'd trip on his own, without me having to push him. Meanwhile, I devised an extra layer to my plan, positioning myself as indispensable to management. I offered help to other teams, sent innovative ideas for side projects, and made sure everything was clearly labeled with my name and date. Slowly, I noticed perceptions shifting in my favor. My name came up in meetings more often than his. Over time, Kareem started making small mistakes, likely due to pressure or fear of losing his standing. But I watched silently, documenting everything, because I knew the decisive moment was approaching. The first step in his downfall had already begun. As the new month began, work pressure was mounting on everyone, but for Kareem, it was twice as heavy. He could no longer keep up with my pace or handle the level of detail I poured into the project. I saw it clearly, especially in meetings where he'd stumble over his words or weakly parrot my ideas. During one weekly meeting, the manager asked Kareem to present a progress report on the project. I listened quietly, jotting down every word. He spoke with forced confidence, but the moment the manager asked him about specific technical details, things I had handled, he started sweating, scrambling for the right words before finally saying, "I'll double-check and send you the details later." I caught the manager's glance at him. It wasn't the usual look of admiration, but a mix of doubt and confusion. As for me, I sat calmly, smiling as if it didn't concern me. After the meeting, the department head pulled me aside and whispered, "By the way, the presentation you gave management last week impressed them. We should keep this momentum." I didn't react much, but I knew the plan was working. Around that time, colleagues began hinting that Kareem was talking about me behind closed doors, suggesting I was trying to steal his spotlight. I never responded, because reacting now could ruin everything. Instead, I doubled down on my calm demeanor, treating him normally in front of everyone to avoid the appearance of conflict. Meanwhile, I kept sending all critical documents via email, with copies to the CEO, adding a new tactic. I started asking the manager to publicly acknowledge my contributions during team meetings. This made my role undeniable, leaving Kareem no room to repeat what he'd done in the previous project. But the real turning point came when we had to submit the first prototype for the new project. I'd finished a crucial part ahead of schedule and sent it to management that morning. By evening, I discovered Kareem had submitted nearly the same idea, just with minor tweaks. The catch? His files showed a timestamp hours after mine. I said nothing, but I kept all the evidence. I knew this move would repeat itself, and that repetition would be his downfall. A few days later, an urgent email from the manager summoned the team to an emergency meeting. When I read it, I realized something major was about to happen. And the role I'd been waiting for in this game was finally coming into focus. The emergency meeting was scheduled for Monday morning in the main conference room, an unusual choice in itself. Normally, such meetings were held in smaller offices or via video calls, but this time, the manager wanted everyone present in person. I arrived early and took a seat in the front row, observing the faces around me. Some looked anxious, others barely hid their curiosity. As for Kareem, he walked in slightly late, his forced confidence betrayed by visible tension. The manager began in a stern tone. "Over the past 2 weeks, we've noticed irregularities in the new project's workflow, contradictions in reports, unexplained similarities in certain proposals." I felt several glances dart toward Kareem, though the manager hadn't named anyone. He continued, "Today, we'll review these points in detail and hear from everyone involved." On the screen, he displayed 2 files, One from my email sent a week prior, the other from Kareem's, submitted hours later. The same idea, nearly identical wording, even the typos matched. The room grew heavy, as if everyone was bracing for what came next. The manager turned to Kareem and asked calmly, "How do you explain this, Kareem?" Kareem stammered, "Maybe it's a coincidence. We were working on the same idea." But his voice wavered, his expression flickering with fear. The department head interjected, "This isn't the first time we've seen suspicious overlaps. There are other examples from the previous project, too." That's when I knew the plan I'd set in motion weeks ago was unfolding. I stayed silent, watching, aware that a single word now could shift everything, but timing was critical. The manager closed the files. "We won't rush to judgment, but we'll meticulously review all prior work stages. Everyone must provide clear proof of their contributions." At that moment, I knew the evidence I'd compiled would be my strongest weapon. Revealed at the right time, it could tip the scales entirely. As for Kareem, he sat rigidly, avoiding eye contact, as if sensing something far worse loomed ahead. When the manager asked everyone to present their evidence, I calmly pulled out the file I had been compiling for weeks. I placed before him a complete record of emails, designs, and reports, all dated under my name, along with meeting recordings, proving I was the true author of the work. I didn't need to say much. The evidence spoke for itself. The room fell silent for a few seconds. Then the manager turned to Kareem with a decisive look and said in a tone that brooked no argument, "I believe the picture is clear now. And so our tale comes to an end. But in the world of Max Fables, every story carries a lesson and leaves its mark. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss our upcoming tales. Here, where stories come alive and wisdom lingers in memory.